Hey, how's it going everyone? And it's Daikin in here, and we are only a month away from the very exciting official release of Genshin Impact. Up until now, we have explored various aspects of Genshin Impact's gameplay through various guides and showcases, building to the moment we all been waiting for. But things have slowed down a bit after the exciting news, that is, for the Genshin side of things. However, very interesting developments have started to swell within the Honkai universe, in which possible all the answers lies. Answers to what exactly, you ask? Well, hang on everyone, because we're about to dive deep into the underlying connections between Honkai and Genshin Impact. First, I must say there will be some Genshin Impact story spoiler talk, and I am by far not a lore expert when it comes to neither of the two games at the moment, so this is just one fan speculation to put the pieces together to find out exactly why do the unknown goddess look so much like God Kiana, who exactly are our sibling protagonists, and where do they come from, and so much more. So, let's start from the beginning, shall we? On December 16th, a group of pictures showcasing more of Genshin Impact was published. However, one of these pictures in particular had no quotes or comments. It was this photo, the male MC walking into what appears to be what we know today as the domains. However, he is not the main subject of this picture. In fact, he's way off in the corner, covered by not indicative of final quality text. Here, the center point is the tree, a symbol that is known all too well in the world of Honkai universe. This world tree inside of Honkai Impact is basically a thing that connects worlds and alternate realities. I'm not too sure on everything on this concept, but what we do know, this same tree within the ending of chapter 17 was able to be observed by Otto, who in fact found a parallel world. Now, upon further examination of this, yes, we can see there's a new character, and we know this to be the new Rita, who will be playable coming soon. However, that's not what we're here for. There seems to be something. Hey wait, is that Stormterror? Dvalin, one of the four winds of Mondstadt. Now you may be thinking, how could Odo have possibly have seen this, and how this doesn't explain the main characters of our story. Lumen the sister and Aether the brother must have come from somewhere, right? Let us look at another source. You see, miHoYo has been publishing much of his lore in various mediums, from of course the games, to animations, to even the mangas, as well as is here that we'll find the next piece of the puzzle. Inside one of the Honkai mangas called Second Key, without getting into too much details about the actual plot, for your and my sanity's sakes, in the case of the world being destroyed by the Honkai, a certain project was placed in the action. This project was known as Project Arc. It was stated this Arc retained knowledge, which bared a copy of the human genome library, and that this Arc was launched with the purpose of seeking another habitable planet for humanity. Now, there's something very peculiar about this image. Where have I seen this before? Two lights flying across the night sky? Of course I remember! If you're very familiar with the beginning events of Genshin Impact, then all of this should start feeling really familiar to you. A tree that connects the worlds, a parallel universe found, and a project looking for inhabitable planets? Those two lights are Lumina and Aether, being the hope for humanity formed by Project Arc. It's even stated in the opening that they fell from another world, and while they are used to traveling from world to world, they are being stopped by the unknown goddess. Not convinced just yet? Let's take a look at what this parallel world has to offer in form of similarities. First up, there's no questioning the undeniable keen similarities both God Kiana or Herrscher the Void have in common with this unknown goddess. Little is known about her, but we can make out some pretty good guesses just off what we have to go off of. First off, she states, the irrigation of mankind ends now. Much would imply, much like God Kiana, that there's a certain hatred for humanity at play. Not only this, but have you ever noticed how the unknown goddess fights? She uses a variety of cubed attacks, and well, if you're familiar with Honkai, then it should come to no surprise that Kiana also is very fond of these style of attacks. But let's move on to some other world similarities, shall we? As you play through the story of Genshin Impact, you will come across this friendly bard known as Venti. Now Venti here has a secret, in that his real name is Barbados, which is the very god that the people of Mondstadt pray to. As each region has a god that is tied to an element, Venti, or Barbados, is the god of wind. Now, going back to Genshin, if you don't know what the word Herrscher means, miHoYo is very fond of using German words to describe things, and in this case, there is no exception. In German, Herrscher can be described as lord or ruler, hence the nickname God Kiana. To add on to this, each Herrscher is also tied to a particular thing, in some cases an element. Examples would be Herrscher of Thunder or Herrscher of Ice. However, what about a Herrscher of Wind? Was there a character that controlled this element? And what do you know, there is one. This Hersher was known as Wendy, an A-rank Valkyrie who lost control of her abilities. Translate that back over, and we got our God of Wind. And I gotta say, they do look very similar in appearance and color schemes. Now, one more example I could find that I think would solidify this theory and give us somewhat of a timeline placement for the new world of ours is the snippet from the prologue of Genshin Impact's manga. Here, Venti enters this woman's prison cell and begins to have a conversation with her. She talks about how she is a warrior and her city being a prison for her kin. Venti states that her attitude is very Muritan-like. And then, the story is told. The children of Murata, the Lady of Fire, are a hardy people, blessed with the head of fiery red hair, but they are few in numbers and seldom seen in the north. She's also the Lady of War. Back in those days, warriors from every tribe would perform rites of combat and celebrate victories in her name. Wow, okay, so there's quite a few things that could be taken from this. First off, we can pretty much confidently state that this story takes place sometime in the future, despite it looking more medieval than Honkai, and it's a parallel universe, just roll with it for now. Anyway, Venti talks about the Lady of Fire, born to a group of people known as the Muratans, known for their fiery red hair. Maybe this girl is also a Muratan, and that the kin she is referring to just lost their way of their original heritage. But who do we know in Honkai with these traits, you might ask? None other than Himiko Murata, the fiery red head of Valkyries with a tempered vengeance against the Honkai. Oh yeah. Now, as far as the Lady of Fire actually being Himiko, it's hard to say as Venti has been around for a long time, seeing that he's the god of the land and all. But for certain, we can say at least she is related to this bloodline. Now, this is just the beginning of the connections between these two narratives, but I feel pretty confident about the groundwork that is being laid out amongst the community. As new discoveries connect the worlds further, once Genshin Impact fully releases, I'm sure we will finally see how the dots truly line up. But for now, we'll just have to wait and see. And that's it for my Genshin Impact x Honkai Impact connection theory for now. If you want to be part of the discussion, jump in the comments and let me know your theories or discoveries about how the stories connect. Also, if you like anything I had to say, drop me a like, I really appreciate it. And if you want to hear more from me, follow me on my socials. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you know the next video goes live. As always, my name is Daikin, and I'll see you next time. Signing out.